So I thought I'd just record a little video to go over some of the 2022 plane linking changes. There's actually an official video on this exact part coming out later this year, but just to give a little preview and to talk about some of the points in this actual thread. So let's say I'm creating a dynamic plane, dragging out the dynamic moment on this bore, on this caliper bracket. And I can pick and take the vector of the face, and then I can just grab the XY plane here and snap it to the center while keeping the vector. So now I've got a plane in a position I want, and maybe I'll use that in operations, etc. Notice in the new plane tab, it's not linked to any other plane yet, although I can do that right here if I wanted to at the plane creation step. And in the advanced tab, we're not associative to anything. So even though we're placing it kind of at the center of this bore, we're not associating it with any sort of geometry. So if I move this bore, the plane will not move with it, right? So we have that choice, of course, when we drag it out from the corner to link it. But if we want to associate it, we either have to create it from geometry or in another manner, or we have to link it after the fact. So I could say I want to relink it to that geometry, and now it's associative, and you notice this checkbox is on here. So now if we drag this face, and we say OK, that plane will move to the new face location. So let's talk a little bit more about plane linking then. I have my setup 1 origin down here that maybe is at the bottom left center corner of my stock here. And for 3+2 roughing from different directions, I might have a setup 1 front and a setup 1 back. So they're at the same origin. They're just giving my my tool different pointing vectors so I can come at the front and back sides with some 3-axis roughing. So logically, I really want my setup 1 to be a parent plane and front and back to always follow the parent plane around. So I can go into this front plane and I can say I can link it to setup 1. And I say OK. And now you get these new icons here in the planes manager that tell you what the parent plane is and what the child plane is. These are kind of hard to see, and I wish I could zoom in on them on the video, but if you hover over them, you even get a tooltip showing you that, okay, setup 1 is the parent plane, and indented underneath it, you see child planes. So now these are linked. Just be aware that these are not organized together in the planes manager. We're not actually able to do that right now in the planes manager. So if you rearrange the sort, parent and child planes are not necessarily going to stay grouped together in the list. They might fall under different areas. So I'll do the same thing with setup 1 back. I will link it to setup 1. So now if I ever edit setup 1, and let's say let's turn this prototype stock back on, and I change the location. I want to change the origin for this. I'll drag it to the top right corner instead. Setup 1 front and back move with the parent plane. Furthermore, let's say let's edit setup 1 front, and I'll drag it out into space somewhere. So now they're separated by quite a bit. Now if I move setup 1 again, the child plane moves with it by that relative amount. So we're always respecting the relationships between the parent and child planes until you break it. So you could always say, all right, I don't want setup 1 front to move with the parent plane anymore. So now I've unlinked it, the icons disappeared, and now if I move setup 1, that former child plane stays where I left it. So this is really handy for grouping all of the planes together that you use in say multi-axis setups. I use this all the time now to make sure that when I'm going from prototype stock to production stock, or switching my stock around, I can instantly edit all of my setup planes by just selecting and changing the parent plane in that manner. So I hope that helped.